just see if this works. It does. Absolutely amazing. See, that's loading. Okay. Right, let's just see how that looks on my phone as well. Saying I'm now live. Okay, right, let's just do a test. So 1 2 1 2 1 2. You can see there's a bit of a delay here as I'm doing this. Fantastic. Fantastic. Right. Okay. So let me sort this out. So for guys who are tuning in, I'm trying a bit of a different setup today. I'd love to be able to start incorporating more coaching like live streams. So rather than me just being a talking head, I've actually got a demonstration or like a diagram or something I can show you that we can work on. But as it's been a little while since I've actually played with this kind of setup, just wanted to make sure that I actually got everything as smooth as possible first. Because otherwise, the worst case scenario that would happen here would be I'm going to have this like amazing setup and then I'm not going to have any audio, or the audio is going to be fantastic now that I'm actually getting to use my my microphone for live streams, and then find that we've just got absolutely no video at all. So what I have done, for guys who are tuning in, I have actually turned the chat off. So I'm not going to be able to see anything simply because it is just such a distraction for me to actually keep track of like the messages that I get through and also the content that I want to go over. And to be fair, I think there's also just guys who just literally like pop in and they troll, and then they just sort of like disappear. They just like causing trouble. And I say guys, they're probably like 5 year olds who are just looking to entertain themselves. So rather than having any sort of interference, I think me just having the chat off is probably easiest. And by all means, if you have got any questions and whatnot about what I'm going to go over in this live stream, then please do leave them in the comments underneath this video. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember if whilst I'm doing the live stream, you can actually leave a comment. So if I can't, then, or if you can't, then just hold on to that question until the actual live stream is finished, and then just add it in to the chat underneath. So I'm glad that I've tested this, so this all looks pretty good to go. And I'm gonna just go over it with you. Excuse me. In this live stream, something that I call the day game development cycle. And this actually was probably, I think, one of the first videos, or one of the earliest videos that I'd spoken about on my channel. And it was really just to kind of get you to differentiate the actual journey that everyone goes on when they are entering the self-improvement scene in dating, and also just how a normal guy differentiates himself from guys who are dating coaches or perhaps pickup coaches. And by the end of this live stream, what I really hope that you can kind of like see and achieve from it is why you do need to separate yourself from being in the pickup scene, and that you will never really grow out of it. You kind of go through this like Peter Pan phase, and you never really grow up, and you're just stuck in this like horny teenager sort of zone. But I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I'm getting ahead of myself. And so I think we'll just start off with, you know, the normal guy who enters the dating scene. Like, what does that look like for him when he decides, you know what, enough is enough. I want to have the dating life that I want. what do I do? Do I just go out on my own? Do I go out with wings? Do I go and see a dating coach and get all that sort of help? Now, all of the above is absolutely fine, but it's still that journey that you go on as you are going out and you're practicing cold approaching and you're just improving your social skills. So you can see here, I've kind of got like this graph with 4 different colors. So that represents the different phases that you've gone on over time. And along the bottom, you've got the actual line of time itself. Now, as you've noticed, there's not like a specific time that I've put. It's not like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, or 1 year, 2 year, and so on, because every guy is different. But what I would say that I have seen is this same pattern with like every single guy who does come through the industry, and just how they exit it as well. So going across the bottom is time, and going up is women. And the reason why I've got women and time here is essentially to be able to gauge the experience that a guy goes through. And that is really what this line chart is going to represent. It's the experience that you go through when you are doing day game or cold approaching or whatever. So what are the 4 phases that every guy goes through? Let's start with the basic one of exploration. So you've got a guy who he's decided, right, enough's enough, I'm going to sort my dating life out, and he decides to just try doing cold approaching. He's absolutely petrified, he's nervous, he's anxious, he's got approach anxiety, yada yada yada. He's got all of these things going on, and this is what I call the exploration phase. Just that phase where you're just dipping your toe into the world of cold approaching and just seeing what is actually possible for you to achieve. And the likelihood is you're going to get guys who they just struggle. They aren't going to get great results. Hell, they're probably not going to get any results whatsoever. But it's just that fact that they are at least testing the water and seeing if it's for them and if it's something that they want to eventually try. Now, there are a good portion of guys who just drop out at this point. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You get the guys who it's too scary for them. They obviously haven't gone to a coach. They've probably not even gone out with the right sort of people that's going to morally encourage them to approach correctly or appropriately. And so they're just sort of winging it. And their lack of experience is just going to get the better of them and just say like, yeah, this just doesn't work. Yes, you've watched videos on YouTube. You watched some other coach do it, but yeah, this just isn't going to work for me. So they drop off, and that's fair enough. And then usually they come around, they turn their minds around and give it a try later on anyway. But that's for a different chart. But for the guys that do stick around, the guys that decide, you know what, I can see myself doing this. Maybe let's go to an expert, or let's go out with someone who knows what they're doing. Even if it's a wing or a friend who's maybe done it for a while, then that's where they stick with it and they give it another go or two. So that's where then we've got the second phase, which I call the state of flow. So it's just really a play on the flow state, which is when you have done so many approaches and you become incredibly present and mindful in the moment. It's safe to say that you feel very grounded. Just wondering if there's any other explanations that people have got. But it's certainly an experience that you've really got to have yourself. And once you've done it, you know what that feels like to just feel very present and in the moment, and you're not overthinking things. The limiting beliefs aren't there, and you are just focusing on the women that you are speaking to. So usually when guys, after they've gone through that first phase of just sort of like dipping their toe in the water, this one is where they are now essentially taken under the wing of someone and they are pushed into more interactions. And they have all sorts of experiences, but usually it's still not very great. It's still pretty low level. So between exploration and state of flow, you can see that the experience, or that line graph, is very, very sort of flat. Maybe just sort of slightly curving, but it's just very flat. And the point with that is that guys just aren't still getting results by that point. They're still in this kind of like ugly duckling phase of getting good, pushing their comfort zones, and then experiencing everything that there is to experience. And that's what the next phase is, the yellow one, where, as you can see, is where most of this magic happens with doing cold approaching. So once guys have gone through testing their limiting beliefs and they've overcome a lot of their social anxiety and they are willing to push themselves further and further, that flow state brings them into this, I suppose, like Zen like attitude where they are just willing to just test and try everything. Like suddenly they feel very liberated. They aren't held back by all of the anxieties that they had before. And now they just start approaching and talking to everyone. And in fact, with the two guys that I worked with just over a week ago, so two of Christian's clients, this was exactly the case. So day number 1 and 2 was like just getting comfortable with giving a compliment and just stopping the girls. But then like day number 3, suddenly they just felt so good and they just started talking to everyone and they started to have a lot of fun with it. And that then rippled in their conversations and they were just having good interactions and, of course, got a lot more phone numbers because of it. Now, on this particular scale, we could be talking about maybe like weeks or months where you've got a guy who is just constantly going out. He's not scared to go and approach, or maybe, no, that'd be a lie. Maybe just a little bit. There's like a smidge bit of fear there, but he knows how to handle it and he knows how to deal with it. So he carries on approaching. He's suddenly getting a load of phone numbers. Suddenly he's going on a lot of dates. Suddenly he's sleeping with a lot of women as well. And then maybe he's even having or getting a taste of what potentially relationships might be like. Now, when that happens, I say a lot of nows. I've just realized that I do say a lot of nows. But at this point, he is just now almost playing catch up on life. So all of the things maybe he had on like this bucket list of, oh, if only I could talk to girls, I wish I could do this or that. He is now going through all of them. He is getting all of these out of his system and finding as well the kind of women that he likes and that he doesn't like. It's a bit like going to a buffet, which is a weird explanation, but you know, he's trying everything that he wants to and then decides what he likes and what he doesn't like, and then he can be focusing on those particular things. So during that time, every guy gets a lot of experience, of course, especially if they're having a lot of fun. But there is a moment where guys realize that they do have to go back to reality. That if, let's say, they had a sabbatical from work, you know, which is a great way to really kind of like jump into the deep end and get really good with cold approaching fast, because you're now just dedicating a period of time to just focus on it, accelerate your skill, and then go back to, you know, your 9 to 5 or just work life afterwards. So usually at this moment, then guys realize, right, they've done all they wanted to, but it can't be sustainable. They need to be making money to be able to pay to go on dates, or they know that they need to go back to like friends and family and go back to doing like their hobbies and having a social life and stuff. That they can't just stay obsessed with doing day game forever. They need to now holistically bring it into their lifestyle. So because of that, usually their experience does go down because they're not actively able to go out and approach as much as they used to, you know, which makes perfect sense. You know, unfortunately, you have to make the sacrifices of where you're going to be spending your time. Are you going to be spending it, you know, having a job and making money and stuff, or are you going to be just wandering around the streets and going up to people and giving them compliments? You know, so realistically, it's not a sustainable life to be just walking around forever. Unless you're a coach, then it's a very different story, because they need the skill, especially if they're going to be teaching it. But for a normal guy, it's certainly not sustainable. And I'd even go as far to say the same for a dating life as well, because of their work and having a lifestyle and socializing and whatnot. You're not going to be able to go on dates most likely every single night. And you're probably also not going to want to, and probably also not want to spend that money on strangers every single night either. So this is where the last phase of self-actualization comes in. And this is where guys have a lot of realizations. They have the epiphanies. They've grown up as well. They've matured as a man because they've been able to work on their confidence and doing that through the socializing of meeting women. That most guys that I know, they want relationships. They are looking for a girlfriend or they're looking to get married one day and have kids. So the I don't know if the if expectations is the right word, but for what they're looking for in dating, they are able to filter that bit more. So rather than approaching like crazy every single day and every single week, they might just approach people when they're on their way to work, to the gym, buying food, going to see friends and stuff. And, you know, they might only do a handful of approaches, but at least then the approaches are of high quality women that they're attracted to. And it's also their kind of woman. And the women that they want to filter and see if hopefully they will be their girlfriend or whatever in time. It's personal preference with that, I should state, as well. But at some point, and usually with most of the normal guys, they are looking for a relationship. And so their dating level or the amount of dates that they go on is going to be much lower than what like dating and pickup coaches are. So the actual experience and the number of women that they speak to and they go on dates with certainly comes back down somewhat low, but at least they are now in this self-actualized state. They know and respect who they are as a man, and they can happily go about their lives and just enjoy it how they see fit. And if they see a woman that they are attracted to, then they'll go over and take it from there and see what happens and just kind of roll the dice. So that's kind of graph number one with what like your normal guy would go through. So if I just change this, let's now compare this to a dating coach. So you can see it's very, very similar. Let me just open the window for me. There we go. Here we go. I've got so many tabs open. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So as you can see, this is pretty much the exact same thing. The only difference is in the self-actualization. The dating coaches realize, you know, that they've also got a lot of the women that they're dating out of their system, and that they can now date at a level that they are comfortable at. Now, the difference with this as opposed to just your normal guy is that they obviously have so much more time, and certainly because the money that they charge, they can afford to go on more dates regularly. And because they are certainly staying in this social environment and most certainly social momentum of speaking to strangers on the street, they are just going to have still a much better amount or a much higher amount of women that they can be dating and sleeping with and meeting and so on, compared to the guy who has to go back to a 9 to 5. You know, the dating coaches practically live on the street. So they've got all the time in the world to just constantly meet women, but also be picky as well. So like not literally ricochet off of every woman that they see. They are just sort of speaking to the women like, oh, you know what? I really like her. Let's go speak to her, see what happens, you know, and they can have a leisurely dating life, but one that's certainly, I think, a lot higher than what most men will probably be able to experience, simply because their life revolves around being on the street and coaching people. So there's not too much of a difference there, but the big difference is when we are comparing a normal guy's dating life and a dating coach's dating life to a guy who does pickup. So if I just change the diagram again, I'll just do this. So you can see, again, let me just change my diagrams as well. He says with the hiccups. There we go. Okay, cool. So as you can see in this one, this is very, very different. So the amount of women that a pickup guy has is going to be much higher than both the dating and the normal guy, but he doesn't reach self-actualization. he's essentially just, like I said earlier, in this like horny teenager kind of phase, and he is just meeting women, meeting women, meeting women. He doesn't care about socializing with other guys. He doesn't really care about his friends or family. It's just solely about doing pickup. And the concern I have with this is just how disassociated a guy can become by becoming a pickup guy. You can certainly become very sociopathic where you're not creating any actual connection with people, whether it be not just with women that you're dating, but also, you know, with guys as well, like creating friendships or just connections with people. But with pickup, it's all about strategy. It's all about trying to manipulate a conversation in a way that benefits you and that you get a good outcome out of it. You know, it's pretty much kind of like someone who's just fantastically good at sales, but you know, they can objective handle literally anything that you throw at them, and they can do it with such charm even or charisma, and they can say it very calmly, but you know, deep down there is actually some I don't know, there's something dark kind of going on there. And I think it's safe to say, like, most dating coaches that I know have at some point or another been stuck in this pickup paradigm and this kind of development. And you know, and they'll honestly tell you that, you know, as much as it's great like meeting women, you just kind of lose yourself, or you lose a part of your own humanity, and you become someone who you don't really like, and the only way that you snap out of that is when something really terrible happens. I know for me personally, what snaps me out of this particular paradigm was probably about 8 or 9 years ago now, when my grandpa had passed away. And that had completely changed the dynamic, where I suddenly thought, why do I want to be just chasing women all the time? Surely what would be better is actually having the opportunity to spend time with people that I care about and that I love, and so on. So that was, at least for me, the epiphany or the shakeout of this, you know, pickup development cycle. But ultimately, it really isn't healthy for guys who do pick up. It's a great crutch just to get started, but when you get to that third phase of the experimental of this development cycle and going into the experimental phase, it can be quite damaging to your mental health. And guys just then don't seem to grow up. And then I know a lot of guys, or a lot of pickup guys who did this, even today, you know, they have a lot of problems. They usually are addicted to either drinking, drugs, sex even, or just something else that just gives them that high. And they just don't grow up, and they just still use the same lines and routines that they used years ago, and they just feel very disconnected with people that they're talking to. They've kind of learnt the way in how to make it sound like it's meaningful, but they've just disconnected themselves. And there's a concern for me with that. You know, it's how I've known people to take their lives, or in this industry. Like, I personally known 3 people to commit suicide because of being trapped in this particular mindset. As well as you know, with mental health, I've known guys who have tried to overdose. I've known guys who have had mental breakdowns, or a lot of people, definitely even a lot of coaches who I've had to counsel, and I've had to care for, you know, and that they've cried to me because of just how bad their dating lives have become, because they just struggle to connect with people and they want a relationship, but they just don't know how to do it. So you have to just kind of recognize, I think, at some point where you are in such a really good place and you're having all the experiences that you want, but you still need to consider it's worth you leaving on a high. And then when you can do that, then at least, you know, going back to either, you know, what a dating coach goes through, or hell, even just what a normal guy should end up going through when he's meeting women. You know, I think it's just worth considering, like, that just do day game, do pick up whatever for a short while or for a period of time, and then just learn how to introduce it into your life. And then there's nothing wrong with, you know, if you're going on like one date a week compared to like if a dating coach is probably going on like 4 or 5 dates a week. It's like, who cares? Who gives a fuck? You know, it's about you being happy with the dating life that you want and what you feel that you deserve. Doesn't matter what like your friends and stuff are doing. It doesn't matter if there are guys better or worse than you. It's about having a dating life that you are happy with and deciding what is your outcome. What are you looking to get out of entering this day game development cycle? Are you looking just to have a bit of fun? Are you looking to actually get a girlfriend? Do you want a bit of both? You know, it's, in my view, a trial and error thing doing dating. You know, I like to consider it like that. And it's just me being able to do a lot of approaching is just speeding up that process of finding the one. You know, I don't want to be cold approaching forever. I'd rather much prefer to be in a relationship with someone and settle down and have kids. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, which unfortunately, unlike what pickup coaches might say, they'll pitch this idea of like, oh, be single forever. Like that's the only way to live your life. Like, you know, don't trust women and all that. And it's just crap. It's just utter crap. There are plenty of amazing women out there, and the same vice versa that for the women, there are plenty of good guys out there as well. I think both men and women are just as bad as each other. And unfortunately, when you get these crazy nutcase pickup guys who have got this attitude towards women, usually it comes from a place where they've been hurt, maybe they've been cheated on, maybe they've been disrespected or treated really badly, and they were looking for some kind of way to get revenge or just feel better about themselves by kind of like knocking the opposite sex, which is dark. You know, there is a lot of trauma there. But that's whether or not then they choose to either do something about it or cover it up and distract themselves with plenty more approaches. Because I've known guys to also do that too, that they will, you know, approaching women is like the distraction from all of their life problems because they just don't want to face it, and it's just easier. And it's addictive. It's a high, you know, to be just talking to lots of women. So this is certainly the cycle that you want to be aspiring to. You know, expect that at the beginning it's not going to be great, it's going to be tough, but you are testing and pushing your comfort zones and your limiting beliefs, and you are retraining not just your brain and the way in how you're thinking, but you're also retraining your body as well to understand that actually there is a better life for you, and there is a much more confident version of you that you've never experienced before. And maybe you don't even know if that person exists, but at least you're giving that a try. And through just this slow process, or maybe fast, you know, if you're going to a coach, it might be like super fast, but you are at least going through this process where you are going to get good, and suddenly you are going to have this snowball effect, and you're going to just have the ability to start talking to everyone. You're going to socialize, you're going to meet women, you're going to have the dating life that not only have you always wanted, but also what you deserved as well. And then you'll go through that, you'll suddenly exhaust everything, you'll hit a plateau, and then you'll realize, you know what, I want something with a bit more substance. I want something that's a bit more real. I don't want to be just spending all my time doing day game. I want to do other stuff in life, but I want to be able to bring the skills that I've learned from it into my life. And that's what I really love with this, that it's about creating a much more holistic lifestyle for yourself. And if anything, that's really kind of just one of my one of the things that I like to teach. You know, it's one of the things that I hope guys can aspire to doing, that you take a holistic approach to learning to do day game and cold approaching, and after the time that like we've worked together, you then go back to your normal life. And if you do see someone on your way to work, gym, getting food, shopping, or seeing friends and family and stuff, you have the confidence to go for it and not regret it afterwards, and avoid that kind of what if question that I think most men get when they kind of wish they had gone and just done something, and it's just too late because the girl has just disappeared into the abyss, never to be seen again. You know, why not learn to give it a try? So I hope this was an interesting live stream for you. I'm going to end up watching this back just to make sure that everything was okay. Otherwise, sod's law, there's something wrong, and I'm going to be like, oh, I've just sat here all that time and it didn't end up showing properly. But I do hope that you found this interesting. And by all means, let me know your thoughts on this video, certainly underneath the comments. I do offer coaching if you want to have this accelerated experience of getting good with women. You need to get out your own way, put your ego and pride aside, don't let yourself suffer, and do something about it. Take action and take some responsibility for your life and give it a bit of time and effort and patience. There is no reason why you can't have the most amazing dating life or find the most amazing woman that you've always wanted to have a relationship with. You deserve every bit of happiness as every other guy who is out there and doing this. And I have met guys who are utter crap at doing approaching, but they get results and they are happily meeting the women that they want, which should hopefully show you or tell you that it's just about taking the action. I will help you every step of the way. If you even speak to any one of my clients, they'll tell you just how supportive I try and be, and just make sure that I help you with every step or every stage of doing approaching until you're comfortable with it. So eventually you can just ingrain this into your lifestyle and you can just do it on your own at ease as well. You'll never lose anxiety. That's a healthy thing, I should add, to have. It's always healthy to have anxiety. Otherwise, people will be like crossing the street when cars are going by and they'll just be like casually walking and just getting hit by cars. So we don't want that. But if you are, though, looking to work on your dating life, even if you're scared and anxious, that's great. I can absolutely work with that because I consider myself more of a cold approaching coach than anything else. And I really love to be able to help guys not just overcome their approach anxiety or social anxiety, but just also I love the technicality of cold approaching and the rewards that you can get just from simply learning how to be able to talk to strangers. So if you want that skill and certainly to be able to take that confidence and put it into other areas of your life, then check out my website. It's in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. I do offer a 30-minute free consultation. You'll have to fill out a form though first so I can get a better insight into where you're at in your dating life as well. But then if we work together, my God, are you going to have such an amazing journey and you're going to come out of it such a better man as well. And you'll be so happy that you took that step forward. So we'll leave it there. I've been Dan, that dating anxiety guy. If you can, please, and if you haven't already, I'd love it if you can like the video, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on even more content that I will put out. I'm going to certainly try and put more of these live streams out. As I say, I'm going to check to make sure this did come out okay. And in fact, put a like if this did actually come out okay, this live stream. But I would love to maybe try it on a weekly basis. Have more diagrams and charts on stuff. So if you've even got ideas for things that you would like for me to break down and talk about and certainly show you, then absolutely I can do that. I might also ask, maybe not just dating coaches, but also if you guys have your own infields and you'd like for me to break them down live, then that would be amazing. If you also want to get in contact or leave comments in the description below or underneath the description below, and we can certainly see if I can do something where I can do like a live infield breakdown, which maybe that might be really useful. You know, I'll kind of like give a lot of anonymity on the women as well and mute stuff because I'm very much into a lot of like giving people a lot of privacy, which, you know, anyone that you see coaching wise that I've worked with, you know, I make sure 100% that is always there. I think you have to respect people and their privacy, especially in dating when it's a very vulnerable and private thing. So yeah, maybe I'll have a think with that, but that'd be great to be able to do like live infill breakdowns of like either dating coaches or certainly you guys who are watching, if you're willing to maybe have like a friend film you, and then you send me the infield, and I'll actually review it online. That'd be quite a cool, I think, experience maybe to do that. But we'll leave it there. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel if you can, to stay up to date on hopefully more things like this live stream. And yeah, I'd also love to hear in the comments below of any other ideas for live streams that you'd like for me to do, like diagram wise, infield demos or breakdowns of sorts, and we'll take it from there. But thanks for watching.